Hi, I'm Kendall Bird, and I'm VP of Brand here at Solle Naturals. Welcome for joining us here on Why Solle Works. See that a lot of you have come in and started to comment, and we love it when you comment. It really makes the experience richer for everybody who is watching. I don't get to read them all because I'm engaged a little bit in the program, but when I go back and watch it again, I find that those comments are fun and very insightful and add to the program. So thank you for doing that. Today we're talking about the therapeutic cream with 101 uses. Yep, we're talking about SolleFlex AC. And here you'll find that there are some of its uses scrolling on the screen. SolleFlex AC therapeutic cream, sometimes we call AC Cream. You probably hear it more as that than the full name. My favorite use for AC Cream is for sunburn. Now I try to cover up and I try not to stay out in the sun for an extended period of times, but when I do and I notice that, as soon as I notice that a sunburn's coming on, I slather that AC Cream all over, and I'll continue to do that throughout the day or the next day, and it really decreases my discomfort by quite a bit. But it is quite a useful cream, useful for a lot of things. In fact, let's talk about that now in Why Solle Works. Well, today we are lucky to have Greg Halliday, founder and president of Solle Naturals, here with us today to share some of his knowledge about SolleFlex AC. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
My pleasure, Kendall. I wish it were my knowledge. I think most of it's Dr. Allison's.
Well,
and other really smart people, but some of it's mine.
Yeah,
because I listened.
It's your knowledge now.
Yeah,
but
their knowledge has become mine.
We will definitely use Allison for a resource, and we'll love it. Greg, I've heard you say lots of times, every home needs to have a tube of AC Cream in it. Why do you say that? Why do you think that
Well, I
is?
used to say that.
Yeah?
And then I thought about it, and I've changed what I say, or what I said, and what I'm saying now, too, as well. Changed both of those. Well, I guess I couldn't change what I said.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
But I would say it differently today.
Okay.
Because I don't think every home should have one. As I talk to people who have figured it out and are using it, they actually have several. There's usually one that sits somewhere in the home where people know where to find it. And then there's one that's a portable. Sometimes there's one in the car. It depends on how many kids they have.
Yeah.
So I think it's a multi-tube type of product. Yeah.
And then there's the ones that you hide, the secret ones. So the rest of the family can use it up.
I'm laughing because that's what I do. There's no way. If I leave it out, it's gone.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're listening tonight, and if you just remember one thing, just one thing from the show, from me, hopefully you remember everything that Kendall says, but from me, hide a tube somewhere. Hide your own tube. I mean, not share it, but hide a tube. In fact, I'm looking at Tanya Johnson says one in every room. Rosa says a tube in every room and car. But again,
tubes.
If you learn one thing, hide your tube. Because I've actually learned this over the years too. They're always gone, but they leave them. At least in my house, if they're in different bathrooms, they leave them because they don't want to use the whole thing. It's kind of like when you're in a group function and the last hors d'oeuvre,
Right.
No one's going to eat that one. So there's like a little bit, if you shake that tube a ton, and you might be able to get a little bit out so they can say, well, it's not empty.
Yeah.
I didn't use it all. But, you got to hide your own.
So do you know the trick where you cut the tube in half and you pull it apart, and then you can get the last little bit out of there, and then it slips back over itself so that it kind of creates this little cute tube. And then if you didn't get it all that very last time, then you keep it for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I don't do that because it involves scissors, and scissors can be dangerous.
Yeah,
in my hands anyway. Yeah, so I just shake them. I can show you, but I won't. What I do with the tube. But the thing is, if you hide a tube, then it solves a lot of your problems or a lot of mine.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good uses for AC cream. What are some of the best uses do you think for AC cream?
Wow, okay, this is funny. This might be different than what some people share. I use it at least once a day. Sorry. just had a I just had a cinnamate and a couple of capsules, and they're moving things. I actually use it on my face. I use it before I go out in the sun, before actually. So I like it's a time of year I like to do bike rides in the mountains. I'll put it all over. I actually do use it as an aftershave. I have naturally dry skin, and so it makes a difference there. I also have some other skin conditions that the Flex AC, just in general, face and like hands, elbows. So I kind of, for me, it is daily skin condition, but not just because it helps, not necessarily just moisturizing, more healthy skin. Yeah.
I used to use it as an aftershave, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
But I don't for some reason anymore. I don't know why.
Do you shave anymore?
Oh, that might be it. I don't shave anymore.
That's your reason. Okay. Well, I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
So, Greg, let's talk a little bit about what's in AC cream. We know that AC stands for Arnica calendula.
Right.
So those are two important ingredients that we have in SolleFlex AC. Talk to us a little bit about some more of what's in it.
I would love to. And again, shout out to Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews for taking this from one of the great trainings that she gave us. Every time I listen to Dr. Allison, my mind does feel expanded a little bit. And I do remember what she says. I hope she knows that because it teaches me. So let's look at a couple of these things from ingredients. And there we go. Let's see. There we go. So again, shout out to Dr. Allison for helping us in all this. And first of all, I think we talked a little bit about this. There's a surprisingly good result with the SolleFlex AC Cream, which is not a medication. It is natural extracts. It's a holistic approach. We fell in love with this formula because there's no grease. There's no odor. It's got wonderful absorbability. It combines very well with essential oils. It can be wrapped. So many creams that you might use for some of the things we see on the screen, if you wrap them, you can get burning. Not with SolleFlex AC. It is honestly nothing less than the most versatile and effective cream I've ever come across in the natural health industry. And there are lots of great creams. Plants are amazing. In fact, so many of the ingredients here are flowers. And so what you see here on pain and inflammation, people get surprised. I've talked to so many people who are sharing Solle that will, before they do any kind of class, doesn't matter what they're talking about, irrelevant to this discussion today, will have a tube, their hidden tube, and they'll let someone borrow it, and they'll just ask if, hey, does anybody have like a stiff neck or any kind of part that's just kind of tight? And they'll let them put some on, let it out as a tester, and then about 15 or 20 minutes later, they'll ask them, hey, how's that feeling? It's rare that the person doesn't go, okay, I actually can, it's loosened things up. I feel a little bit of relief in pain. So we start with pain, inflammation, but we added ingredients to this formula. It was a wonderful base formula created by a naturopath. And then we added things that made it more antimicrobial, as you can see, and ramp up the skin conditioning. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we mean by that. Here's a list of them. We're only highlighting these 7. There are others. And I will say all of these are plant sourced, nothing chemical. And that's another great thing about this formula, very natural. Arnica montana, calendula, aloe vera, witch hazel, olive leaf, MSM, and St. John's wort. And what I'd like to do tonight is just give you a couple of nuggets about each one, hopefully because it might spur some thoughts in your mind as it has in mine as to how I might use it and how I might help other people use it. So let's start with arnica. A study in 2012 from Dr. Allison, bruising and swelling. So what they found is that these fibroblast cells, we're going to come back to them in a bit. Why are fibroblast cells important? What are they? They were protected. Arnica protects them. They don't alter or damage or age and become less effective in their function. Here's a study with hand stiffness, hand swelling, osteoarthritis, 174 people, so that's a pretty good sized study. And they compared it against over-the-counter drugs. And what they found is that this wonderful natural arnica extract was quite similar in terms of pain and improved hand functioning. Didn't have to go to chemicals and synthetics to get that benefit. Some of the evidence, there are some of the markers that correlate with inflammation are changed. And so you can see this marker, one of them, it increases it, an anti-inflammatory marker, and reduces another one that needs to be reduced. So arnica, like all natural things, has these wonderful plant components that the body can utilize to do its thing. Because our body wants to return to homeostasis, right? If we burn our skin, if we do it, it wants to fix it, help us fix it. It just needs the right raw materials to put it that way. Now, jumping past arnica, we get to the C. So arnica is the A, and now we got the C, and that's why they're called out. There's such amazing studies in there, and they are such superstars for skin creams, in my opinion, both arnica and calendula. That's why they get called out more in the actual name of the product. Calendula, also anti-inflammatory, but also has these antibacterial and viral and fungal properties. It is an immunostimulant in the sense that these fibroblasts that we heard about with arnica, it stimulates them, the calendula. Why is that important? We're going to get to that. And then angiogenesis or neogenesis. So this is stimulating the body's activity in forming new blood flow and blood vessels around, say, any kind of a situation out of balance, a wound or abnormal, where the body wants to get nutrition to it, get immune cells to it so that it can balance and fix the situation. Calendula is its medium to do that, or it's a catalyst. So here's coming to this fibroblast that we talked about. It's a fibroblast stimulator. So calendula stimulates the proliferation, so the duplication of fibroblast cells, but also the migration, so their mobility. Two interesting factors. What are fibroblasts? Well, they create the structure for repair, and they're part of the process of the body creating collagen. So we've talked a lot about collagen in recent years. People often call fibroblasts nature's stitches. Very early on in my time in the natural health industry, I heard a story from a very, very experienced herbalist, and she talked about how so many various natural things, nutrients, if we consume enough of them, the body will stitch itself, will fix a lot of things itself, because our bodies are amazing in that way. So calendula, not only does it do what we talked about with fibroblasts, but it also creates this increase in blood vessels and gets more nutrition, oxygen, all the things that the blood brings to areas of the body so that we can heal. Calendula does all those things. Here's another study. This is 2009. Wound closure. So if you have cuts in your 101 uses, we have ways that our skin can get damaged or cut. And this study compared calendula, people just applying calendula, to people who did not, with a wound, an open wound. And notice about a week later, on the 8th day, if they used calendula, the wound was 90% closed or healed. And where calendula was not used, only half. It was only half healed. So much more quick wound healing. And I can tell you, I can attest to that. Years ago, as we were doing a lot of triathlons, I remember about 7 days before an Olympic distance triathlon, which is swim for a mile, bike for 26 miles, or a little over an hour if you're really biking hard, and then run a 10K. So that's 6 miles, a little over 6 miles. Hiking high on a favorite mountain peak, Timpanogos here. I was looking at the nature, took my eye off the trail, and stepped on a big rock and rolled my ankle to the point I heard the telltale pop, 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 which when I've done that in the past, I used to play basketball, it would swell up immediately, and I'm 3 weeks healing. So we had just launched SolleFlex AC. And what I did was I applied ice. I was at the top of a mountain. I simply tightened my boot. I actually had a boot. And so it couldn't swell while I was coming down the mountain. I was not smart enough to have a secret tube with me there, but I got down and immediately just slathered the whole foot. And I could see by the time I did it, I could see dark spots where it was starting to bruise along the bottom of my foot, along the top, and along my ankle. And as soon as I took the boot off, it started to swell quite large. I put the cream on, iced it, and then actually it was not more than 3 times a day, but every 3 or 4 hours while I was thinking about it. So in the middle of the day, I reapplied. I did that for 2 days. Icing multiple times the first day, I think maybe once the second day I iced, and then just simply put the AC cream on whenever I remembered. And I did that whole triathlon the next week with 0 wrapping, 0 swelling, no bruise. It was pretty amazing. So studies like this, I lived them, and you can live them if you use the cream.
Yeah.
Here's another one, Kendall, healing burns. So here's a great reason. This study in 2008 actually just describes why it heals from burns, and it protects those fats, those healthy fats that are part of cholesterol that help us heal from oxidizing, and so that our body can heal. So here we are. We're still with calendula. So what a great thing. Now the next ingredient is, and we're going to come back to a little bit of this, but the next one is aloe vera. Again, a lot of focus on burn, but like calendula, it actually is angiogenetic. So it helps generate new blood vessels. And there's a study in 2012, certain organisms are resistant and that were used to when there were actually open lesions on the leg, and aloe vera actually would actually heal that and overcome these organisms that are resistant. The next one is witch hazel. Both the bark and the leaves are astringent, so they're tonifiers. They help tonify tissue. And along with that, protect it. They're antioxidant and swelling. Witch hazel as well helps the body react to swelling and bring it back in line. Now, another one that was a late addition to this formula that's a key ingredient is olive leaf. I had been aware of olive leaf, and both Blake and I had used it internally as part of an herbal capsule. But olive leaf has great topical benefits, and you can see all of them listed here. It also is a collagen increaser. So it's funny, we don't talk about it much. Have we talked about Solle Royal yet on why Solle Works this year? I'm not sure if we have. It's a big one. When we do, this is a great topical, with the Solle Royal being internal and Solle Megas being internal and longevity these are great internal. Well, the AC cream is a wonderful exterior component because of the direct aid it gives the body in collagen and skin repair. And then we get to MSM. A lot of times when people use, MSM, it's fairly common. You can see where it comes from. Dr. Allison mentions sources: soils, plants, fruits, veggies, fish, poultry, eggs, meats, milk. We create some ourselves. So a lot of animal source, and so a lot of people worry when they see MSM. Oh, well, that's animal sourced. Not ours. Ours is actually a plant sourced MSM. And again, MSM, we have it internally in Solle Royal, so that you can, because again, the formation of collagen and connective tissue, but you can also apply that topically. And then this one usually surprises people. This last one, St. John's wort. What a huge part it plays in Adaptable, Solle's very first formula. Yeah. And it's been a game changer, always has been in my wife, Donna's life, in her nutrition program. It's a pretty spectacular cream, topical. St. John's wort, look what it does. I mean, you've got the anti-inflammatory, you've got these great properties, but look at the last sentence on this slide. The growth and the differentiation of skin cells, certain skin cells, are stimulated by St. John's wort. So the body wants to repair. We have our cycles where every cell gets rebuilt, as it were, and the body can only rebuild it with the raw materials we currently have. We improve the raw materials, our body can improve how it rebuilds. And St. John's wort is a great one also to add on the outside because of what it does. Here are a few studies in 2014, so that you can look at different aspects that affect skin health and how St. John's wort helped improve that situation. And I believe that is all for the diet. Oh, we got one more study with St. John's wort. We're back to burns, Kendall. This is a great choice for sunburn. But look at this study. So we're talking first-degree burns in 2 days, 48 hours in a study with St. John's wort, they healed. And second and third degree burns, at least 3 times as rapid, although it takes longer, at least 3 times as rapidly as the typical conventional methods for healing. And I like the last part. It says keloid formation was inhibited. Yes, I looked that word up. Dr. Allison, she wouldn't have had to look it up, but I did. And that's just scar tissue. So you don't have that type of tissue forming. It was inhibited, or it formed less with the St. John's wort. So lots of great information on, and I think the reason for all these ingredients is that every plant brings something different. And I think together, the 101's just probably the starting point for the list, right? If we wanted to list a bunch more, we could.
So let's talk a little bit about how to use it. I mean, we mentioned a few things, just getting it on your skin. You mentioned wrapping it. I think you mentioned adding oils with it.
Yeah.
Typically, I mean, I guess I might have mentioned them all. Can you think of other ways, specific ways to use it for specific situations?
Well, it's funny. Ways to use it is one. I mean, there are only so many different ways, right, that you can apply it. But I think mixing it with other products. I've seen it mixed with like Omitox for a mask, and there are probably lots of ideas on certain of the Solle capsules that you can open up and actually mix in with the SolleFlex AC Cream and use. But I think one thing, I don't know if we mentioned it today, Lydia Ferrantino used to talk about how you can put SolleFlex AC Cream anywhere. And that conversation would always get to places that it would just get to places. But it really is true that that's a cream, because people have those questions, can I put it here? Can I put it there? You really can. That cream, that is why we fell in love with the original formula. We enhanced it a little bit with a few other things, but it's actually super versatile.
Yeah. Yeah, and to apply it often, when you have a situation, a burn or whatever, it's important to apply it often and to keep applying it. Seems to work really well. And a lot of people use it for their face, for skin, for that kind of stuff. I used to, when like I said, when I shaved, I used to use it for that because it would take away that burn and everything. So great, I love it. Thank you, Greg, for sharing your thoughts on that on SolleFlex AC with us today.
Oh, can I tell you one more, Kendall?
Absolutely.
Don't laugh at this one. I actually put it on my nose, and I put it up in my nose. And some people have shared that one. But, in terms of a lot of things, actually, you can have allergy situations, or in like cold flu season where people can kind of get crusties. I'm not saying I ever do.
Oh, no.
But if one did, one could, it's actually that kind of, it's a really great sort of in and around there. It makes a difference.
Yeah. And help it from drying out, and getting bloody noses and that kind of thing. Yeah, love it. That's one I hadn't thought of. That's a great one. Thank you, Greg.
You betcha.
So now it's time for my favorite part of the show, where we talk to somebody who has had an experience with the product. Today we got a little bit of a special guest. It's Jordan Peterson. He's going to share with us his story about his toe. But he had to leave, so before he left, he recorded a little video for us, and let's watch that now.
Hey everybody, wanted to tell you a quick testimonial about SolleFlex AC Cream. A lot of you may have heard this story before, but it's a story that happened in July of 2016. I was up camping with some youth and we just got done making some pancakes for breakfast, and we had this big 3-burner griddle that was about that big. It was cast iron, so it was super heavy. And as we got done cleaning it up, I got some hot pads and went to go ahead and put it away in the trailer. As I got about halfway to the trailer, I recognized that the hot pads were not going to work and they were still burning me a little bit. So I went to put it back on the Camp Chef burner. And as I did so, it rocked a little bit. That griddle fell off and landed right on my left big toe. I was wearing some flip-flops, and as it hit, we were actually on pavement, so it hit, made a lot of noise and bounced away. I thought it had missed me. I looked down and realized that it landed right on my left toe. And so I said to the guy standing next to me, "Oh, I just cut off my toe." And he's like, "What? No, you didn't." So we both looked down and realized that it indeed had hit me right on top of my big toe. And it had pretty much smushed it right off. And so we're about 2 hours away from the nearest hospital. Made it to the hospital, walked in there. We had wrapped it up to kind of control the bleeding a little bit. And the head nurse there didn't even believe that I had done it because I was acting calm, I guess. And so when she unwrapped it, she realized that it was a pretty big deal. So we went in and we got an x-ray of it. So I wanted to show you a little bit of what this looked like. If you have a little bit of a queasy stomach, you might not want to pay too much attention. The first picture is just going to be the x-ray. X-rays aren't terrible. As you can see here, that griddle landed and went right through the bone on my big toe and just kind of severed it. It was just being held on by the skin underneath the toe. Now again, if you're a little queasy, this next picture is going to show what it looked like. I had my wife actually take a picture of it. And so this is what it looked like as we went into the hospital, and we were looking at it. As you can kind of see the bone there, chopped right through it. So they went ahead and they just sewed it up on the side, put some stitches on it, closed it up. They said they're going to leave the bone in there, that little piece that's detached, and it's either going to reconnect or dissolve. And come to find out years later, it did dissolve. This was about a week after I got home. It looked like this. And this is when I thought, you know what, if I'm going to have any chance of making this toe work, I'm going to need to really get after it with some SolleFlex AC Cream. So as you can see, I would just slather that thing on there, and I would do this as many times a day as I could. I would just sit there and slather on it, would kind of soak in. I'd do it again and just keep it going. After about a week or so, I went in to the doctor to get the stitches taken out of my toe, and my toe looked like this, which I thought looked like a zombie toe. His first words out of his mouth were, "Hey, that's looking really good." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And the funny thing about it was right here, as you can see on the very tip, you can see a little bit of pink color there. And then you can kind of see the pink on either side. He said that was a really good sign. That meant the blood was still getting in there and that the nerve should be working. So he was really excited about the look of this nasty zombie toe. A few weeks later, it was continuing to heal and looked really nice, and everything was going really well with that thing. This was about 3 weeks after. You can see that it's really starting to take nice shape there, and we got nice pink color on the tip of that thing. And within 4 weeks, I was able to hike around and walk around on that thing. I was able to receive full filling of the toe, and the toe now looks like this. You can see there's a slight indentation up on the upper left right here where I had a little bit of scar. But for the most part, no scarring, great color. I have full feeling in the toe. The only thing I can say is every now and again when it gets really cold, it gets a little bit discolored from the rest of my foot. It gets like a little bit like a darker color. But for the most part, I have to say this AC Cream saved that toe. And man, it way better than I thought. The doctor and everybody else thought there was no chance it was going to look like a normal toe again. Toes don't look great anyway. But for it to look as good as it did, I thought it was a great thing. So SolleFlex AC, it's so good for all those little minor bumps and bruises you have, but also for big things like this. And it's great for helping to really take care of you. It's kind of nature's natural cure for people who hurt themselves like me. So it's a must-have. So I hope you guys try it as well. And if you haven't, make sure you do because it's great for you. Thank you.
Wow, Jordan, that's an incredible story. Those are crazy pictures. It's so fantastic. He slathered the AC on there, and it just, wow. Too bad it couldn't do anything for those other toes. Ugh. But anyway, it was fantastic. Thank you, Jordan, for sharing that with us. Thank you, Greg, for for sharing your thoughts on AC Cream and the ingredients in that. Learned a lot today. I love it. I love listening and learning these things about the products that we have. Thank you so much. And our next show is going to be on Solmaca XD, and it'll be August 8th. Greg is going to share some thoughts on that with us then. So it's been a good show, and I thank you for showing up and for commenting. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on Why Solle Works.